Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is David with Hill Country Nerd Tutorials, and today we're going to be doing a ListView project in Visual Studios. And so let's go ahead and get our project started. And just to kind of talk about what we're going to be doing in this ListView, we're going to have multiple searchable fields to search through the data. We're going to have pagination. We're going to have the sort ability, and we're going to have all this stay intact when we're doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project, and we're going to choose Visual Basics Web, and we're going to do an ASP.NET empty web application. Now we're going to be doing VB.NET. Anybody who is a C Sharpie, you can always click the link in the information below, and you can go to the VB.NET to C Sharp converter and convert that code. And I'll also keep a download link for the project files in case you want to get it and modify it. So let's go ahead and get this, and we're going to call this our ListView project. And we'll go ahead and get that fired up for you. Okay, so it's already ready to go. We're going to go to our Solution Explorer right here, and under ListView project, we're going to right click. We're going to add a new item, and we're going to pick web and a web form here, and we're going to call this default.aspx, and we're going to create that. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're displaying all files. So I'm going to expand this. We have all the files in view, and right now we have our first form here, and we're going to go ahead and put in the title. We're going to call this our ListView project. And we're going to put the cursor between the two divs, which you don't really have to have the divs there, but it came by default with the project, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. So what we're first going to do is we need to get our ListView controller up and running. So let's go to Design View, and we're going to go ahead and hit the toolbar, which I have mine on the right hand side, easier for me to access, but you can put yours anywhere you want to. And if you can't find it anywhere, just go to View and down to Toolbox, and or you can hit Control Alt X and it'll all show up for you. Okay, so we're down the data section, and we are going to get the list view right here. We're going to drag it over to the div right there, and so we have our ListView controller ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and format that, and we're going to pick a new data source. Give this a chance to pop up and give me my wizard. So right here, we're going to pick SQL database, and it's going to already generate the ID, and you can make it anything you want to, but I'm going to leave it at SQL data source 1 and going to click OK. So we're going to, we already have an existing connection, but I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to hit new connection, and we're going to be the MySQL SQL Server Database File SQL Client. We're going to keep that the same, and we're going to go and browse to the to my folder where I have Visual Studio set up, which is going to be in PC, usually when you have it installed. Well, my computer is just running real slow today. It's actually a pretty good computer. So we're going to click SQL Server 2000 sample databases, and that'll be the actual Northwind database, and I'll have a link to the download site to actually get that stuff installed. So I'm going to double click that, and we're going to get the northwind.mdf file. We're going to click open, and we're going to use Windows authentication because we're not actually connecting to a database, and we click OK. So now we have northwind.mdf set up, and we're going to go ahead and click next, and they already have the connection string they're going to be using, so we're going to go ahead and save this connection. Go click next, and you'll save the connection in case you may create another project. It'll automatically ask you if you want to use existing data connection. And of course, you can connect this to your SQL server or anything else you want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick something that's going to have numeric IDs in it. And so we're going to go ahead and do orders. And I'm going to select the order ID. And I'm going to go ahead and do the ship city and then the ship country. So I'm going to pick 3 fields just for giggles here. And we're going to go ahead and click next. And go ahead and test the query to make sure everything runs fine. And we got all our data coming up here. That's good. So we can go ahead and finish that. And so we got all our data configured there. Of course, you're going to see that there's nothing showing up in the actual ListView preview. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and configure ListView. So as it's come up, you're going to have the regular grid views, which we're going to use. You have other options if you want the data formatted in a separate way, but we do want to use the actual grid for the tables. and we can pick a color scheme. Of course, you can do that with simply just putting the styles within the tables and formatting it which way you want to, but just to kind of have a more visual of it, we're going to go ahead and use a, let's see, let's use professional. That sounds good. And we're going to go ahead and enable paging, which is going to be our data pager, our pagination, and we're going to do numeric pages so we can see how things change as we do it. We're going to click OK. So we have all that done. You can see the preview on the ListView control going right here, and if you actually go ahead and go to source view right here, and we're going to have all our code generating here. Now seems like the list view generates a lot of HTML code for the visual, so we're going to go ahead and go through and delete some things that we do not need. So for first thing we're going to look at, we're going to go down and look at different templates. We got a list view container, which opens up right here, and you'll see that we have an ID of list view 1, which is perfectly fine. And it's going to be running at the server, of course, and it has the data key names for order ID, which is going to be our main how it sources the data out when it paginates. But we're going to have a multiple pagination here, and so you can see that the SQL data source is going to be SQL data source 1, and going down here you can see where that's actually initiated, which is right here, which is a SQL data source, and right here, and it has the web config connection string, which you can find those settings in web config if you have an issue with username or password authentication, anything like that. And we got our regular select statement right here. We don't have any we don't have no where statements or any kind of filter expressions, because we're going to be doing that in the code behind. So what we're going to do first is, first off, we're going to delete some of these templates. We don't need them. This is going to be a read-only search, so we're not going to really have any functionality for editing the fields and stuff like that. We'll do that in a future video when we start, adding to this project. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the alternating templates. Don't need that. And let's see, we don't need the edit item templates, so I can delete that. I'm going to leave this here. This is going to be our empty data, so when it returns no data, so we're going to put nothing to display. Just display. And put an exclamation point. I don't know why. It just seems right. So right here we have our insert items template. We don't need nothing in there. We can delete that template. We're not inserting anything to the database. We have the item template, which we're going to keep that. Actually, actual read out the items. And we have the layout template, which we're going to leave that because that's actually how everything lays out to it. And this is actually the headers of everything right here, and this is the actual data being returned. And then we're going to have the selected item template. We're not using that because that's just, I guess, when you select an item, it does something. I'm not really sure, but we don't need that. So I'm going to save that, and we're going to go ahead and redebug this to make sure that everything is still working good, and we still have our database here. And we do. We have everything here, and we're going to go ahead and start working on this project. So the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how, and this has been all over the internet, and you'll find answers on it, but you have to dig through a lot of stuff to find a really simple answer on it. Is this is already by default, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 items shown on each page. Let's reduce that to 5, just to show you how that is done. So I'm going to keep this running because when you're actually editing code on the front end, you don't have to re-debug it because it's already running in it. You just refresh the page. So we're going to go down to the data pager, which is right here, and you can see that there's different properties you can set. You can actually go to Microsoft and Microsoft website, and it'll actually I think it's MSDN if I'm mistaken. It'll actually show you different properties you can put in there. But we're actually going to put our pagination property within the ASP data pager tag at the very beginning. We're going to put it right past or run at server, doesn't matter where you put it, and we're going to type in simply this page size equals, and we're going to put 5. Now you're going to get a little squiggly mark here, that's fine. All that means is that for the type of declaration we're using up here, which is a 1.0 transitional, this element is not recognized as far as part of CSS, because it's not really part of CSS, it's part of ASP.NET and its libraries, and it'll turn it into HTML and everything else, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to refresh the page and show you what that did for us. It actually reduced everything to 5 pages, or excuse me, 5 entries right there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stop debugging, and we can do that by clicking F5. Yeah, that worked great. F5. Yeah, try it again. F5. You know, I hate you. Yeah. That didn't work too well. Let's also go ahead and hit the stop debug. I don't need all this stuff down here. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. We're not really looking at anything down here. I want to keep as much view of the code as you possibly can. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start building out our form. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to have a table tag opened up. And then we're going to have a simple TR tag. And we're going to have 3 queries, and that's going to be the order ID, ship city, and ship country. So we're going to go ahead and build out our first one, which is going to be a TD. And this there's no formatting really needed, so we're just going to just put raw table here. And for the TD, we're going to put a label, and we're going to call this ID. Or let's call it the let's call it what it really is here. We'll call it an order ID. And we're going to go ahead and create another TD, which is going to be our form field. And in ASP, you can do a regular form field, but if you want something that's going to be running at the server, want something that's more standard for VB.NET or C#, we're going to go ahead and create the ASP text box. We're going to give it an ID of equaling, let's call it TXT for text, and we'll call it order ID. And we're going to run this at the server. And we're going to give it a, I think it's width of, let's give it 150. And so we're going to go ahead and close that tag off. And we're going to go ahead and create another TR, another TD. And we're going to call this another label. Bear with me if it's getting kind of boring, but like I said, I like typing things out because it's easier to see what we're doing here. And we're going to call this ship city. And then we're going to go ahead and create another TD and get our form field label here. And it's going to, you're right, it's going to be another ASP. I'm sorry, ASP label. Text box. And we're going to have an ID to equal text ship city. Keep it to what it really is because it'll be easier to remember in the future. So we're going to have another run at the server. 1 second here. Okay. So yeah, we're going to run at the server. My fingers just swole up and got fat. And we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to give it a width to equal, I'll say 250. Just to keep it good for, you know, lengthy text and stuff like that. Pixels is 250. And we're going to do this for the last one as well. So I wasn't actually always a web developer. I actually was a prison guard in the younger part of my life. And then after being a prison guard for 5 years in the state of Texas, I decided that I was going to go into the military. And I was actually a culinary specialist in the military, and I was doing logistics as well. Getting out of the military, I decided I wanted to try something new, something that's be more independent upon myself, and something I can grow outside of work if I ever want to do it at home, which is what I do right now. I'm actually a web developer. I learned from Googling tutorials. I went to a little bit of college, which wasn't very helpful actually at all. And here I am today. I actually started out with HTML, and then I moved to PHP, MySQL, and then recently, about the last 3 years, I got another job working with ASP, and I kind of picked that up really quick. So we're going to go and do this. We're going to do another ASP, and there goes that damn bird again. And we're going to make it a text box. And we're going to give an ID equal text ship country. And we're going to make this another run at the server. And we're going to give us a width, again, probably about 250. Should be plenty for us to work with. And of course, you can style this if you like. It's up to you. I'd be curious to see what y'all do with this project. If y'all want to go ahead and try it, and if y'all want to upload it somewhere and kind of show me what y'all do with the project, I'd be really curious to see. And maybe actually showcase some of this stuff for you. So what we're going to do is we already got our labels here. Everything's good. And if you look in Design View, we're not really going to run it right now. You can see that the 3 labels are right there. So there's one more thing I want to do here. And what that is I want to put a submit button and a clear button. I want to put the submit button to submit the information, and I want to put a clear button in order to clear the fields and actually reset the whole query so we can start from the very beginning without actually having to reload the page. So what we're going to do is we're going to start another TR. And we're going to do a TD again. That's of course a famous TD, and we're going to make an ASP button with an ID equal btn submit. We're going to run it at the server, of course. And we have to give some text for this button. So we're going to go and say text is going to equal submit me. So you kind of see how unique it looks and how awesome it is. We're going to do that, and then we're going to create another TD, which is going to be kind of close together, but that's okay. And we're going to call this another ASP button with an ID equal to button clear. And we're going to call this a run at the server. And we're going to have the text of trash it. There you go, right? No exclamation points. That's we don't know it. I'm going to go ahead and close that off, and we already got that now. Now that's all going to work good. The form will submit. We'll go ahead and run it. And I want to give you some noticeable things here. First off, we probably can make the order ID small, but we'll leave it just like that. That's perfectly fine. It really is not going to do anything right now at all. And you can actually submit it by return, so that's good. Right, and submit doesn't do anything, and trash it doesn't do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start working on, we have 166 pages, times that by 5. So that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and come back to our Visual Basics VB.NET project. I'm going to go ahead and stop debugging. And I don't know why this stuff pops up. I don't really need to look at it. I guess only if you have errors. And we're going to look down, and I think everything's fine for now. So let's go ahead and get into our logic, and then we'll come back and work on the actual sorting, which is what we're going to be doing in the last half of this video. So what we're going to do, I'm still in my solution, we want to go ahead and open the default.aspx.vb, and we're going to leave the page loaded alone for now. We really don't need to mess with that until the other half of the video, of course, when we're trying to fix things. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create a submit. Now there's two things you can do. You can either go to design mode of the VB.NET project from the .vb, or you can just simply come up to the very top. They got a little handy tool here. You can click the button you want, and of course I want the button submit, and you pick what you want it to do, and we want it to be click. So it creates our subroutine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our dims here for the button clicks. We're going to have a, of course, we're going to have a dim, and we're going to call this S. I'm sorry, we should be. Yeah, so we're bringing that as a string, so we'll call it an S. So S order ID as string. We're going to have equal text order ID dot text, and then we're going to have a dim, and that's going to be a S order city as string. And we're going to have that equal to text ship city dot text. And of course I called it order city. That should be ship city, because I said I want to keep things as close as possible. I'm going to kill that bird, even though I love him to death. And then we're going to go ahead and come down, and we're going to create two more here. So we're going to do dim s ship country as string. We're going to have this equal to text ship country dot text. And then we need to do one more thing. We need to create a dim s filter as string and have it equal to nothing, so we won't have no nasty squiggly lines on it. And so what the S filter is going to be used, to add information to it. It's not going to be an array, it's going to be one string. So let's say that we had select from orders, which is our select statement, where order ID equals 2345 and ship country equals United States. So our filter expression is going to be anything that's after the where clause. And we want to make sure that our S filter is going to have all the information in there to append to it. So we got to do some checks on things. So that's how we're going to do it. So we already declared our S filter. It's really weird for me because in PHP you don't have to do some you don't have to declare anything. You just put something into the variable itself. It generates itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if s order ID is not equal to nothing. Now this is how you do it in VB.NET, and if it's going to be in C#, of course, it's going to be the exclamation point equal sign, which is for the not equals, and that's or you can put if not on it if you want to. But this is just kind of short version to do this. We're going to go ahead and close the parentheses right here, and we're going to say that if it's not empty, then we want obviously s filter to equal s filter. And then we're going to have right here, we're going to put a concatenation in, and we need to put the actual table name in, which is going to be order ID is equal to, I'm going to close that up right there, put right here, and put another concatenation, and we're going to say it's going to equal s order ID, and put another concatenation here, and we're going to do another open quote, space, and space, quote. And that's what that's going to be right there. That's our first one. So obviously the colors are not right, so something went wrong here. So, oh, I forgot my then. Of course. There has to be a then and an if statement. And I'm pretty sure you can use switch cases on this if you'd like, but we're not going to do that on this one. We're just going to do the regular and statements. I'm going to go down here. So we're going to do that for the last two, the ship city and the ship country. So we're going to say if s ship city is not equal to nothing, then s filter equals s filter. And what that means is it's going to take the s filter and it's going to add to it. So if we had the first one, order ID equals 1 and ship city equals this, so we're gonna actually append it to each other, so it actually builds up. And if it's not there, it won't even execute this line. So if it's empty, it won't do this, and it won't add to it. And so we're gonna concatenate, and we're gonna put the actual column name, which is gonna be ship city. And since it's gonna be letters, we want to use the wildcard and the like statements. We're gonna put like. And we're going to do an open apostrophe. And of course, we have to close the quotes because we got to start adding in some other stuff. Oh, my bad. So open apostrophe, and we need to add the wildcard, which is a percentage sign in SQL. And then we need to close off this, and then we need to concatenate, which is going to be s ship city. And we're going to concatenate again. We're going to open up our quote, and we're going to put another wildcard sign, and we're going to put another apostrophe to close that off, and we're going to type in the words and we're going to space it and then close it off again, and that's going to be that one right there, as you can see. Now let's do our last one here. It's going to be if s ship country is not equal to nothing, then s filter equals s filter. And we're going to do a concatenation again, and we're going to open the quotes, and we're going to call the name, which should be ship country. And again, it's going to be a like because we're using text, like. And then we're going to do that. Wildcard. Oh, no. Wildcard. That. And finish this bad boy off. And we're going to end it with an and, of course, because you never know how things are going to be filled out or if you're appending to it. So we're going to make sure that the end and statement's there. Because if you decided to search for the ship country first, and then you go through and you fill in the other field, it's going to be appending to this and. So you got to make sure there's an and at the end of all of them. and we have our like statement. That I think looks really good to me. Of course, we may have some errors, but we'll find out when we get there. So we're going to go down here, and this is where we're going to start building our actual filter expression. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare the sFinal filter, which is going to be after we get rid of the and, because you don't want no trailing ands there. So if we end up with sShipCountry as the last field submitted, maybe split final filter as string equals. So if sShipCountry is the last field that's submitted, you're going to have a trailing and there, which is going to break the SQL because they're going to be expecting something after the and. So we need to remove that and to make sure that doesn't break the actual query. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare sFinal filter as string, and then we're going to add in sFilter dot remove, and then we're going to open this and do another sFilter because this is going to ask for parameters. Is okay. Well, what are we removing? What are we removing? We're removing sFilter string dot length. So we're basically telling it where to go. We want it to go 4, comma. Let me explain this to you how it works. 3. Let's do this proper like. Okay, and that's all that's going to be right there. So here's what happened. -4, 3. So we're right here when you actually have the string command. So you have a space in there to make sure nothing runs together. So -4 is going to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And then it says to remove 3 letters from this position. So we got a marking position. Now we need to remove 3 letters. 1, 2, 3. That's all that is. That's all it's doing. So hopefully that helps you out on what that actually is. So now what we're going to do is we are going to actually do the filter source. So let's go ahead and do an if statement here. Let's go down here so we can see it. We're going to say, so if sFilter.length, which gets the length of characters, is greater than 0, then, we're going to go ahead and build our SQL query expression. So how do you put this at the end of the query that we saw on the actual visual page? Easy. First, you're going to call it SQL data source 1 dot filter expression. That's all you got to do. Filter expression, you're going to equal to sFinal filter. And that means the one that is missing is we remove the and statement. That's all you gotta do. That's gonna get your query good. But we need an else statement here. So what if everything is empty, nothing was submitted? For some reason, someone hit the submit button, nothing was submitted. We're gonna put an else in there, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna say list view 1 dot data bind. I'm just gonna bind the data the way it is. That's it. So now let's go ahead and run the project and see what happens and see what needs to be improved. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run the project. And first off, we're going to look at an order. So let's say I want 10300. Let's see if that exists. And it does. Cool, right? All right. So let's go ahead and trash it. Of course, it doesn't work. Submit does, of course. So we're going to delete that. Hit enter. So we're going to do, let's do a state of France. Ship country. State. Is France a state? So we have all the Frances here, and we have quite a bit here going on. But let's find out how many records we truly have. So, no, let me see here. So how are we going to do this? To find the records, we're going to go ahead and, so we can know how many records are, we can know what's going on. How we're going to do this is we're going to go ahead and back to our code, and we're going to go ahead and hit stop on the debug, and then right here, right next to the actual button clear, we're going to create one more TD, and we're going to do an ASP label. Sounds like fun. And we're going to make this ID equal LBL count. Run at the server, and we're gonna have the actual text equal nothing right now until we get it sorted out. So we're gonna have it equals, let's say, need to load the total rows of everything, which is on the page load. So get total rows, and we're gonna just make that a regular function, and we're gonna go ahead and down here we're gonna create a function right below this sub right here, and we're gonna call this, you heard it, it's gonna be protected sub because it's making a hit at the database. We don't want anybody getting into it, and we're gonna do get total rows. Just like that. And so all we're going to do here is we're going to basically declare the DV data view as data view. So when you actually get the whole data view object, everything was bounced to the data view. When you get that object, and we're going to have that equal SQL data source 1, which we mentioned that before above, dot select, and we're going to go ahead and say data source select arguments dot empty, and we're going to go ahead and set the LBL count dot text is going to equal dv data view dot count, and that's all you need right there. And we can go ahead and declare it down here too, since after all this stuff we're going to actually have the filters. We're going to go ahead and say get total rows. That we'll have it in both places. So right now if we actually were to play this, play that shit. Okay, we're gonna have 830 rows returned, and we do a city. Say, let's do a state again. We do France. 77 rows returned. Now here is where the problem lies with everything, and this is where you're gonna have all the issues. Every time you hit a pagination, let's go to page 4. We lose everything. We're back to 830 rows. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is every time that you hit anything in the data view, list view control, it's going to go right back to the page load, and there's nothing in the page load to carry that information forward. So we need to work on that problem. Another problem we need to work on before we do that is a trash it button. It doesn't work. So we need to get that working. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hit stop debugging, and we're going to come right below the button click. Do this, and we need to go ahead and call the button clear, and we need to make it a click. So what we're going to do is, all we're simply going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the button clear. It's very easy to do. So we first want to do text order ID dot text is going to be equal to nothing. We're going to say text ship city dot text is going to be equal to nothing. Text ship country, I messed up. Dot, oh come on man. Equals nothing. That's fine. So we cleared the fields, but the one problem is we didn't clear that query. So the query is still going to show the rows that were there before, and it's really going to make it difficult to do anything else. So the next thing we have to do is we need to call the filter expression to nothing. So we're going to, like we did above, we're going to do SQL data source 1 dot filter expression is going to be equal to nothing. That's it. So now when we rerun this program, and we type in France as our order country, 77 rows contained, right? And we trash it, we're back to 830 rows, and the form is clear. Next thing I want to do is, like I said, I want to go ahead and make sure that we keep our query as we go up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up here to the button click, and right below right above the S final filter, I'm sorry, because we want to do it the first thing. We don't want to lose it. We want to go ahead and build a session now. I do this because it's simple to manage, but we're basically going to save everything we did here before it actually gets trashed on the page load. So we're going to say session, and we're going to call this Q filter for query filter, and we're going to have this equal to S final filter. That's all you got to do right there. We come up to the page load right here on the page load. Come on, buddy, work with me. Let's go ahead and get rid of this box down here. It's a little annoying. We're gonna say if page.is postback, and I don't. Yeah, we can leave it. That's fine. Then we're gonna have we're gonna declare the s final filter is gonna be equal to session Q filter. And what we're going to do is we're going to call the s data source 1 dot filter expression is going to be equal to, you got it, s final filter. So let's see what that does for us right there. So let's go ahead and debug the program again. And we're going to go ahead and do again France. And we have 77 rows returns. So let's go to 5. We're on page 5, still 77 rows. We didn't lose anything. So let's go ahead and trash it. Good to go. Even works here. So we're going to do, I don't know, let's do 102.75. There is no 102.75, so let's trash that. Let's do 102.80. There you go, 102.80, Sweden. And if you want to, you can say, I want to find everything in Sweden. And delete that. And we can go ahead and submit that. And we got everything in Sweden here, which is probably a good 37 records. One thing I've noticed here, and we're going to go ahead and add this in real quick, is I noticed that when every time we hit submit, we have to go back and click one of the fields. I want by default to actually highlight order ID. So how do we do that? Simple. There's actually a command for that. So right within this, on the page load, I'll do right above we get total records, we want to simply say text order ID dot focus. That's all you gotta do, and that will do our focus. We'll go ahead and debug this again. Get rid of all these other pages, we don't need them. See, it's already focused, and so we can go ahead and hit the tab button, and we can put the ship city as, I don't know, let's call it linen. So there you go. There's 2 pages with linen, 10 rows returned. So we got all that done. So next, what do we want to do here? I think we need to start doing the sortable rows. We said we were going to do that. So let's go ahead and get that started. That's going to be a lot of fun. Actually, very, very simple to actually do. So we're going to go to our default.aspx. That's where we need to go. And we need to find our actual headers, which is going to be some THs right here. So what we're going to do is, first off, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and delete the run at server. We don't need to run at server on a TH. We're going to be doing that in the actual links we're going to build. So let's get rid of those real quick. Okay, so let's go to the first one here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to keep this there so I can remember what it is, and I'm going to build an ASP link button, not a button, a link button. Make sure we got that straight. And we're going to make this ID, which you really don't need an ID for, for this. We're not really calling anything by ID, but I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to call L and K for link, and we're going to call this order ID. I'm going to run at the server, because when I click, it needs to run at the server, but we need this button to do something. Now, you can look online, and you'll see a lot of information about doing iCompare and things like that, and having to compare information to other information, and then when it's clicked, do this, do that. It's a lot of really extensive information, a lot of really confusing answers, and it's not really that difficult to do. So all we really have to do is, first off, we need to call what we want this link to do, and you can do that by simply type in button. I believe it's button command, if I'm not mistaken. See, I ain't got my crap together. Oh, I'm sorry, not button command, command name. Had to look at my quick cheat list here. Command name is going to be equal to sort, because that's what we're doing. That's actual command name. And then we're going to do command argument. So what are we sorting? Okay, we're going to be sorting the order ID. And then we need to have some text in there. Obviously, because this is kind of an ASP href, so we have a text. We're going to have it equal to order. We'll put a space ID. that, and then we're going to go ahead and close that off and delete this because we don't need it. So we got the first one done, so I'm going to do the second and third one. So ASP link button ID is going to be equal to LNK ship city. I'm going to run at the server, and we're going to have the command name, which is also going to be sort because that's what we're doing, and command argument, which is going to be equal to ship city, and the text is going to be call city. And then we can go ahead and delete all that stuff out right there. And let's do our last one. We're almost done here. So ASP. Looks like we have an uppercase. Not that it's probably going to make a difference, but it's sloppy. I don't like being sloppy. Link. Oh, see? Link button ID equals LNK. We're going to call this link ship country. Run at the server. Command name is going to equal sort. Command argument is going to be equal the ship country. And obviously the text, which will be equal to country. And we're going to close that off, and we're going to delete the ship country. So I think everything should work really well there. So we're going to go ahead and debug the project. And everything's there. So we're going to go ahead and search for France. We have 77 rows. Everything starts with the R, so let's click the city. And click city again, so everything starts with a V. And then back to the L. So there, it's going to do this descending, ascending order. Everything works fine. And we still haven't lost any information. And we can go to page 5 all we want. Still 77 rows. We can sort it out again. We're good to go. And we're moving back to page 1, obviously. And that's going to happen on pagination because you're sorting. It has to start by page 1 in order to sort. So that's nothing you really can do about that. So let's make sure we got everything in line here. And everything is looking good. So let's go ahead and stop debugging. I want to go to my default ASPX page, .vb page, make sure everything's good here. Let me read through this. And it's fine there. And then everything looks good. So I think everything's in line here. So one more thing I want to leave you with. We do have a little bit more time on this video, and I want to show you how you can actually call information in a link. And it's very, very simple to do. So we're going to go and go to the default ASPX page, and we're going to go to the actual information here. So we got order ID, ship city, and ship country. One way you can do is have the select template or any kind of other templates that allows you to make things clickable. Another thing you can do is you can actually just create a link for yourself. I'm going to TD this. So we're going to build an href. So a href equals http //www.sample.com, which is an actual website. And we're going to say ID equals, and this is where we're going to put the dynamic ID in for everything. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm so stupid. Not technically stupid because I'm doing this video. I mean, I put the stuff in the wrong place since we need to actually be in the item template to do this. So we need to go back down here and do this. I was actually trying to put it in my form, which was probably a bad idea. So here we go. A href equals http sample.com and question mark ID equals, and we're going to go and run our ID. So what we're going to do is percentage. I'm sorry, our open ASP tags, and make sure that you put a number sign here. That's kind of to suppress any kind of errors, because it's not always going to have something there. And we're going to just type in eval, and it's going to be the order ID, and that's all you really have to do on that. And that should give you all your stuff. But we need to go outside here. And we need to close off that. And I think we can just close off the href and we should be good. So let's go ahead and save that and start debugging. And everything's highlighted here. So we've got 10248. And you can see down here when you click it, we can go to our beautiful sample site. We're going to have sample.com ID equals 10248. And that's how you do that. So that's been a lot of fun. Everything works great. All the fields work great. You don't lose any of your queries. We learned how to do a lot of stuff on here. This was a lot of fun. So we covered a lot. We covered on how to build a multiple search form. You can add to this as many as you want. We learned how to do a submit button. We learned how to do a clear button. We learned how to paginate our results. We learned how to reduce the items within each page. And we did an order. So a lot of information covered on this video, and I hope that it was helpful to anybody else. So stay tuned for my future tutorials coming up. Tomorrow, which is going to be Monday, August the 29th, I'll be starting an HTML for beginners tutorial, kind of going over what HTML is and how it works. And my tutorials are kind of geared around having fun and making it as easy as to understand as possible, and kind of putting some relationships between like real world things and what HTML actually does, and kind of taking the cockiness out of the whole thing. So if you like this video, click the thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll see you in the future. This is Hill Country Nerd Tutorials. This is David. Have a good day. Bye.